What up, y'all? It's Golden Spaces, an Odyssey original podcast with Justin and Nat. And man, it's about that time. It's about that time. We are creeping upon the NBA season. And we finally got this damn long awaited, I think anticipated Damian Lillard news. However, not the news in terms of the team most thought he was going to, but the trade finally happened. And I'm happy because honestly, I was not giving Damian Lillard another second of my time until an actual trade happened. I did not care. I did not want the updates. I was over it. But now we have a trade and we actually have something to react to. So, Justin, my fave, let's get into it.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So, where do we begin? First, let me just say, let me ask, what was your initial reaction to this news? Because in the last few days, we started to hear like news that would suggest that the Heat were not the front runners and we're not going to get Dame Lillard, which to me, from a business standpoint, doesn't shock me. I always thought it was ridiculous that people thought they had to trade him to Miami. I thought it was ridiculous that he thought he could demand that. I didn't get that. Like, I never felt like he had the leverage to do that. Not just because he spent a lot of years with them, because people act like he wasn't paid for that time. Like, I get it that, maybe the organization wasn't always transparent with him, but like Dame didn't have to sign that extension, the last one that he did, and he signed it and he wedded himself to the organization for many more years, right? And like, to me, there was nothing in their past that had indicated that they were going to move differently. So, but I don't think it mattered. I think he wanted that money and he was going to take the money. So you were paid. So I was just like, you have a contract with multiple years on it. Like, I just did not know why he thought, hey, he had leverage to demand, okay, send me to the Heat and only the Heat. So I always thought it was ridiculous. The Heat never really had the best package to offer. So I'm just like, to me, I don't know right now if Damian Lillard is happy, because both he and Giannis have expressed in the past the desire to play together. And maybe he wasn't aware that the Bucks were an option. I'm not sure. I'm assuming he gave his sign off. I think we'll find out whether or not he did, right? Because we're recording right now on the day that the news dropped. It's only a few hours since the news dropped. So I'm sure more information will start to trickle in about this trade, whether Dame blessed it, if it was against his will. But I have to imagine, while I don't think Milwaukee, Wisconsin is like the best destination in terms of just like your life and living there. And I'm sorry, Milwaukee fans, like, I'm probably like not being fair to your city, but he's going to a contender. He's going to play with who some consider the best player in the league, but a top 3 player in the league. I feel like this is a win-win, aside from the fact that it's just not like Miami. Like, Dame gets a contender. He's getting the help. I don't feel like, even though they went against his initial request, that this is like a messed up move by the org. So in my opinion, they still did right by him.
Yeah.
And I guess for business purposes, which we can get into the actual deal, like what was traded, but for them, I believe they feel like they did what was best for them from a business point of view. So with that being said, because I don't recall hearing the Bucks in the last 2 days. I was hearing Raptors, some murmurs of Celtics. So for me, I was caught off guard just by the fact that, like, it was the Bucks, because they weren't a team that we had heard about. So they were moving in silence like lasagna. And they surprised us. So what was your initial reaction?
It was just kind of like okay, that type of thing. It wasn't like super shocking to me, but I really wanted to see who was going out of Milwaukee. So I was shocked to see Drew, which obviously it makes sense that it's Drew because of the money and then the position. But I was like, dang, he literally just said how he wanted to retire a Buck yesterday, and he obviously has a great relationship with Giannis and all that type of stuff. So I was kind of surprised to see Drew going out, and then we see Phoenix gets in there. They were just so eager to get off of Aiden for some reason that they brought in Nurk and Grayson Allen and Nazir Little and Keon Johnson, who were kind of irrelevant. But yeah, that was just kind of like my initial thought. It's like, okay, they getting Dame, but like, where are the other pieces going? So I think, like you said, it was a good trade for Milwaukee and Portland, and for Dame, and I mean, and for Giannis too. Like, we were kind of monitoring the Giannis situation, so it's like that kind of it's a different dynamic at play now because he has a player that he feel like, or he should feel like can help him get over that mountaintop again. And that could murky the waters on whether or not he'll leave Milwaukee. But it could also do the other thing, right? If it doesn't work out, he could really be like, all right, I'm out. Like, so that's my initial thoughts.
Well, it's funny because our friend, my bestie Amber on Twitter, said that she was so happy this trade occurred, so now she doesn't have to see Warriors fans thirsting over Giannis anymore. I don't know if my single tweet telling him that the Warriors are a better destination counts as thirsting. Shout out to Amber. But I would say that I think it's going to be very interesting because, look, if they make it all the way to the finals and just lose, I don't see Giannis walking away from that. But if somehow it's like a disaster season, and I think it's anything but making the finals, I think you're still at risk, right, of losing Giannis. So it's to be determined. And I think one thing we have to always remember, I think this will be a very good team. I think you have to consider them the best team in the East. But these things can always look great on paper and don't actually play out like that in reality. So we still have to see what it actually looks like when they play and what they do. But I would say that obviously Giannis in the East, right? Like, he's the best player in the East, definitely, for sure. And then I would say, like, who's the other top team in the East? The Celtics. I don't know what you would say about the Sixers right now, but I they wouldn't be a top team, and we don't know what they're going to look like, right? So I would say the next best team is likely the Celtics. We know Giannis is the best player if they see each other. Is Dame better than Tatum, or is Tatum better than Dame?
Tatum's over Dame, but I think all three of them are very clear of Jaylen Brown at this point. So as far as duos go, I would give the edge to Milwaukee for sure.
Yeah. Agreed. Is Embiid the second best player in the East?
Yes. I think as an individual talent, for sure. I mean, Tatum kind of has his number. Has he beat Tatum in the playoffs yet? I don't think he has. I think they've seen each other a few times, and Celtics always win. So I wouldn't be necessarily upset if anyone picked Tatum over Embiid, but I give Embiid the nod. He's reigning MVP. I just give him that respect for now. And I think Tatum has some things he needs to add to his game to kind of like take his game up a notch. So until he does that, I'll say Embiid.
Okay. Now Miami, they were putting all of their chips in this. They did not get their guy, and they've lost some critical members of their team. Now, listen, I still think Miami overachieved this season anyway. So I think it was very unlikely that they were getting back to the finals. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Look, I know all you Jimmy Butler believers, and plus Spo is a great coach. So maybe he can have them still as like a top 4 team in the East, but I don't think that they really are a team that's gonna come out the East or contend for a finals.
No, I don't think so. I think they knew it too, right? So they were like, let's try to get somebody that's really, really upper echelon talent in the league, and they were going to try to get Dame to kind of solidify their chance to get back to the finals, which even still then wasn't guaranteed. So I definitely think now they're like a clear notch below the Celtics and the Bucks. They're still probably in that Cavs, Knicks tier of that second wave of teams. Philly. But I would definitely say Bucks and Celtics are probably like head and shoulders favorites over the rest of the field in the East, with probably a slight edge to the Bucks. I think the Celtics have more depth, but the Bucks have two of the three best players in the series, with another all-star caliber player next to them, and Chris Middleton, and a DPOY candidate in Brook Lopez. So that'll be an interesting matchup right there.
Okay. So, I mean, you talked about Giannis and Dame being a better duo than the Celtics duo, but I already am seeing the tweets about best duo in the NBA, what they can do if they stay healthy. So, before I even take it to the rest of the league, let me ask this question. Is a Giannis Dame pairing? I mean, I know what the answer is, but let me still ask the question. Is a Giannis Dame pairing better than a Steph KD pairing?
Of course not.
I love the laugh.
I thought you were going to say Steph and Giannis.
Like, don't ask me such silly questions.
Yeah, that's not. Nah, that's not it. That's not it.
Okay. Do you care to elaborate?
Well, Steph is just clear of Dame in every way. I don't think there's anything that Dame currently does better than Steph, especially Steph at his physical peak in 2017. So that's first and foremost the main thing. But I think Giannis at that, I mean, not Giannis, I think KD at that point was very, very close, if not a little better than Giannis is right now. I'll probably give Giannis a slight edge over KD there, but stylistically, they fit perfectly. Yeah, I don't think it's close.
Yeah. I mean, the real difference there is the Steph Dame, right?
Right.
It's not substantial between KD and Giannis, but it's pretty substantial between Steph and Dame. But the problem is people think Dame is on Steph's level, and so they mistakenly believe that he could do the same thing if he had certain talent or, Steph's pieces around him. So this is, again, why I say I'm so happy now that Damian Lillard will get to go to a team and have help, because I don't want to hear any more excuses. Should he not win again, having help and telling me what he can do, he could do the same thing as Steph. So we will see. But let's get back to duos. So are Giannis and Dame the best current duo in the NBA? Now, other people that I've seen brought up were Jokic and Jamal, KD and Book, but no one mentioned old LeBron and AD. And I'm not even saying that, honestly. I wasn't even trying to be funny or disrespectful there. I'm just saying, like, they were not even mentioned and no one brought up the Warriors at all. And I think sometimes people have a hard time even figuring out who the duo is there. I think they just sort of view them as a threesome. But and that's fine. I mean, I'm I wouldn't argue that there isn't necessarily a duo in Golden State, but I'm just curious, are Giannis and Dame the best duo now in the NBA?
On paper, yeah, talent-wise, for sure. Like you say, Giannis is the top 3 guy. Dame is like on the fringe of the top 10, probably top 13, 12 in the league. I don't think any other team has 2 guys combined. Well, the Suns have KD and Book, who are both probably top 10. But I don't think KD or Book are as good as the best version of Giannis. So I think he gives them that edge. And I mean, you can make an argument that Dame at his best is just as good as Book or around that level. So I think Giannis being as good as he is gives them the edge. And then you think about Jokic and Murray. I don't think Murray is as good as the second fiddle in either of these duos, right? He's probably like a notch below Book, a notch below Dame, even though he was really, really good in the playoffs.
Well, we have to see. We have to see if that playoff,
right.
If it's playoff Jamal, then what would you say?
if it's playoff Jamal, I would still probably if it's playoff Jamal, that makes it interesting because playoff Dame hasn't necessarily been the best version of Dame. He's had his moments, but Jamal has consistently at this point multiple playoff runs where he's just been like really, really good offensively. So I would probably
Which to me at this point is all that matters. To me, it's about who raises their level in the playoffs. I don't really even care about what you're doing in the regular season. And like for sure, we have to say Jamal is a playoff riser.
For sure. I want to see what Jamal looks like against certain defenses, right? I think throughout these playoffs and the one they had in the bubble, he didn't really see a ton of length and size on the perimeter against him. It was a lot of small guards he can post up. And then obviously Jokic makes his job a lot easier. But when they ran into Miami, his numbers kind of went down a little bit. He saw Jimmy a lot. He saw Bam on switches, and that's a lot of size and athleticism for him. And he didn't really look the same. So I'm curious how he looks through multiple playoff runs where we have a bigger sample size against different types of teams to see if he's really, really like that. Obviously, he was like that enough for them to win a championship. But for me to put him over like Booker or something like that, I got to see him do it against some of the guys that Book has done it against, So, yeah, I would probably go Bucks first, Suns second, then Nuggets third.
Okay. Yeah. I don't feel very strongly about who is the best duo. I just thought it was interesting how all the takes start. Best duos, unbeatable. They'll win the next three. Just all kinds of stuff, which we know that kind of stuff doesn't happen no matter what when people say it. Mm-hmm. So I was curious to know what you think. So, the potential though. Starting five for the Bucks: Giannis, Dame, Middleton, the twin Lopez, Brooke. Right, that's the one that's on the team.
Yeah, Brooke.
I'm joking. I know it's not Robin.
I think Robin is on the team though.
Oh,
I think he was before. I think he might be back.
I know he had left. Oh, you're right. I think they did do like a trade or something and got him back, right?
I think so. I can check the roster though.
Or he signed. But whatever. But we know Robin isn't starting.
Yeah, he is on the team.
Yeah, he is though. But Brooke, and then who's their fifth? Oh, what's his name? The crazy guy.
The crazy guy?
You know what I'm talking about.
It's not Bobby Portis, if you think about Bobby Portis.
It's not Portis?
No.
Who's their starting five?
It's Connaughton.
Oh, Connaughton, Pat.
The gentrifier Connaughton, who never mind.
Okay.
We'll get into that.
I forgot about him.
Yeah.
I forgot about him. Okay. And so Portis is what, their sixth man?
Yeah, he is a sixth man.
Okay. So that's their starting five, potentially. Do the Warriors still have the best starting five in the league?
I mean, statistically, they did. I think on paper, like talent-wise, the Bucks and the Nuggets probably have the two best starting fives in the league. But the Warriors are deeper than both teams. So, but yeah, I'll probably give the nod to the Bucks. Well, I'll give the nod to the reigning champs for now, but on paper, the Bucks have the best starting five, I think.
And when you say the reigning champs have the best starting five, that means their numbers in the postseason were higher than the Warriors. What are you basing that on?
Their sample size was different. I mean, when you look at the numbers from last year, the Warriors had like the best net rating.
Right.
The Nuggets had like the second, but their starting five played like 1,000 more minutes than the Warriors starting five did. So the sample size is a little different. Who knows if the Warriors sample size, like number would have stayed the same if they played as many minutes. And then the Nuggets and the Warriors starting fives numbers held up in the playoffs. But again, the Nuggets play way more. So it's just weird. Just from like a talent perspective, offensively, the Nuggets just have no holes in their starting five, where the Warriors just have like obviously a hole with Draymond and Looney scoring. But on the flip side, the Nuggets have defensive holes in their starting five, and the Warriors really don't. So it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not prepared to give them the best starting five, but
My only thing is on both the Bucks and the Nuggets starting fives, they have like two superstar talents. You know what
well,
I mean?
you keep telling me that Clay is going to be better this season,
He'll be
and
better. He's not gonna be a
also
superstar.
that Draymond is,
Yeah, but it's
okay.
just like I don't know. Like Murray can reach a level that Clay's probably never going to reach. Same thing with Dame.
Okay.
Um, but I do think outside of the top two, like Steph can match Jokic, he can match Giannis, and then there's the next level where it's Dame and Murray, and then after that, it's like Clay, Wiggins, Dre, kind of MPJ, Gordon, Middleton. They're kind of all in that same realm right there. Brooke Lopez.
It'll
And
be interesting. I think we need to come back
yeah, we
and
can
really
revisit.
break down the starting fives for each and see like the tiers and the categories because like
Mhm.
definitely some of the others have a stronger duos, but are their first three as strong as like our top three? Maybe they are, maybe they're not. Our top four. And then I mean, I can't even like Loon is like such a X factor, it's
Underrated.
like
He's underrated for sure.
so it's really hard to say.
Yeah, I think once you get to the fourth and the fifth member of the starting fives, that's when the Warriors start to have the edge, right? Because I think Looney is, in my opinion, better than KCP and Connaughton. Right? They have different roles, obviously. KCP and Connaughton are just like 3-and-D guys, and Looney just does a different role. But I think he's a little bit more impactful. Um, and then whether it's Williams or Draymond or Clay, whoever you consider the fourth best starter or something like that, they're definitely better, in my opinion, than Brooke Lopez or Michael Porter Jr. or something like that, right? So that's kind of where the Warriors get the edge for me. Top three is tough. It's
Right.
tough just because the second guy on both of those other teams are really, really good. But yeah.
Okay. Look at us being fair and objective and balanced.
They
You
still not gonna beat Golden State, but they
see?
cool on paper.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that next segment. But overall, what would you grade this move
I'll say it's an A+. To
for
be
both
honest.
sides?
For both sides, for the Phoenix Suns, who just are kind of like in there for some reason. That's like a lateral move for me. Didn't really make them much better or worse. There's advantages and disadvantages. They got they got four players for one, pretty much. Two of them are just kind of throwaway players. Two of them are questionable in whether they're going to be good or not. And then Milwaukee got another star, and Portland got a young piece that they can help bring up with their young core, and they got another veteran piece that makes $36 million that they can flip for draft compensation or just multiple players. So A+ for Portland, A+ for Milwaukee,
Okay.
C for the Suns.
All right. Well, why don't we let's get into it. Let's kind of dig into this trade a little bit, the details, the teams involved, and just what it means for all the teams, right? I mean, we gave our kind of initial reactions to it, but let's see what this really means without all of the hyperbole, right? So let's start with the Warriors and what it means because we are a Warriors podcast, and I see Dub Nation already freaking out. Oh, we need to get Drew Holiday now, and he's the perfect Warriors player, and blah 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 blah. So, excuse me. While it would be fun to see Drew defending his old team and giving Damian Lillard hell, um, to me, I mean, I think Drew's much more of like a company guy, but like you gonna really make Drew Holiday come off the bench? I mean, it just would be an interesting thing to me. While Chris Paul has like the cachet and this ego, to me, it's a harder decision to make to actually tell Drew to come off the bench than it is Chris. Like to me, this is just about Chris' ego. But if we're talking about like actual quality of player and what they contribute, Drew is still a starting, player in this league. I think it would actually be pretty debatable. Like I get it. He's definitely like, look, his offense is up and down, but like he's still incredible on defense. And so to me, it would be debatable, like if they were to, and I'm just putting this out there because I'm just seeing a lot of people talking about Drew. This is not like a real thing. I haven't seen anything where like, but like I think that's a harder case to make, to say Drew Holiday has to come off your bench.
Yeah, but it's a good problem to have. Yeah, I mean, I do, like you said, you mentioned Chris Paul's ego. I think Drew's kind of like the opposite. Like, I think ego wise, he'll probably be cool with it if they ended up doing that type of thing. It would make sense. So I don't really know how I feel about it. If that was ever a thing, I think he's a better player currently than Chris Paul, but
he doesn't necessarily address their needs the way Chris Paul does. And that's why I'm like, why do people want this?
I mean, in some ways he does. He's not really a turnover prone guard, which is kind of like what they really want Chris Paul to do. Don't turn the ball over and make Kuminga and Moody better. I don't know if he's as good as Chris Paul. He's probably not as good at that as Chris Paul is.
Right. That's the part I'm saying. I think Chris Paul is going to elevate that bench in a much better way than Drew Holiday could.
Yeah, I think so too. But Drew's a better scorer probably at this point, better defender.
A higher likelihood of making it to the postseason.
Yeah, that too. Right. So like healthier. So that's an interesting thing right there. I've been seeing, because Drew makes like I said, 36, 37. He will put the Warriors over the second apron, I'm pretty sure, which they don't want to be. And then you will
Is his contract expiring?
No. It's expiring. Well, yeah, player option, which he's probably going to pick up. It's like $38 million. He's going to pick that up.
Right, because no one's going to pay him that.
Right. And in order to acquire him, you would probably have to throw in another player that we have other than Chris Paul, because the contracts don't match all the way. So it would have to be like Chris Paul and Kuminga. You know what I mean? Something like that. An aspiring plus a young piece that you can send to Portland, which I don't think is worth that for Drew. So stay put.
Stay put. Now I'm wondering which teams are going to overreact to the Bucks, or just react to them. I mean, the Lakers seemed pretty set, but they are also a team, and often I think because LeBron James gets like anxious or he sees things. So I'm wondering if the Lakers will have any moves in reaction to this. Denver, on the other hand, is not a team that seems to like just be reactive in that way. So I doubt that they make any changes. But the Suns got themselves involved in this. So you have to think they made the decision and did the evaluation and assessment and determined that they are not really losing much by losing Ayton. What do you think, Justin? What say you?
Yeah, I mean, they're losing some athleticism in the front court for sure, especially replacing him with Nurk, who's more slow-footed than Ayton is. He's more of a drop big. He was a decent rim protector last season, but again, he doesn't have the quickest feet. He doesn't really want to be on the perimeter at all. So I'm curious to see how that works with them. I mean, I can definitely see them matching up with Golden State or the Lakers in the playoffs and Nurk just not being playable or not being super playable. We've seen Anthony Davis destroy Nurkic already in the playoffs. Can only imagine. I mean, we've seen Steph do it too multiple times. So it was a weird move for me. It just seemed like we need depth pieces. Like let's turn Ayton into 2 players or into 3 players if one of Nas or Keon pops. And then like, let's just get a big body for Jokic, because Ayton can't really hang with him no more. But it's like Nurk can't hang with Jokic either. So now you still can't guard Denver, and you really can't guard the Lakers or the Warriors, even though you probably already couldn't, but you really can't now because Nurk can't hang with AD and he can't hang with Steph.
But they never wanted Ayton. We always knew he was going to get traded at some point.
Yeah.
But what's interesting to me is that I think, and I could be wrong, but part of the reason they probably brought in Vogel was like to help Ayton a little bit. And like, if we keep him, to help him, but now he's gone. And I only bring that up because Frank Vogel is a defensive minded coach. but like you just have major offensive weapons on your team. So I'm just curious how that's going to work. I honestly haven't paid close attention to who he's brought in on his staff. But now Ayton's gone. So like to the extent that that was a project or a focus, it's like now what are you going to do for this team?
I don't know. I guess he's going to try to get Bradley Beal and Book to start locking up on defense because if they don't, they're not going nowhere. So
I forgot Bradley Beal was there. I mean, I know he's there, but it's just been so long. I forgot.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we talked about the Suns or talked about anything. So Katie, Book, and Beal. How do you feel about that team?
A lot of offense. It's a lot of pressure on those three to do the role player things that you need to win a championship. The stuff that guys like Looney and GP2 and Draymond and Wiggins and even Steph and Clay like embrace. They're lacking that throughout the roster. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just curious to see how they manifest that. Like, how do they come up with that stuff? Like, it was already questions of whether or not Ayton can do it. We'll see if Nurkic can do it. You know, they picked up guys like Grayson Allen, who's kind of like from that cloth. I think he's dirtier than, like he's a dirty player. So he kind of goes overboard with some of the stuff. But
some would say Chris Paul is a dirty player.
Yeah, but Chris Paul ain't never injured nobody like that. To
Draymond
be fair.
Has.
Great. Huh? Draymond
has. They call him a dirty player too.
Oh, they say Draymond. Yeah. Oh, Dre ain't never injured nobody.
Balls, baby.
Grayson Dillon Brooks, Alex Caruso, and broke his wrist, taking him out of the air. So Grayson is a different level. But yeah, if Book and Bill and KD kind of like take on that identity as like to do it all, grimy, do whatever it takes to win, screen for each other, box out super hard, play defense stuff, then they can be really, really good. But I just don't know if they are going to do that, especially in the first season together. And I don't know like if a team that you just literally shuffled your roster, just everybody's new except for like 3 guys. Those teams don't win championships. Like you can go back, I don't know how many years. Teams that win a championship have at least 4 or 5 or more guys in their top 8 rotation that have been there for like 3 years at least. So I don't think they have the continuity yet. I don't think they have the grit and the fight within their main pieces, but they got a ton of talent. So anything can happen with that type of talent. But that's the main reason why I'm not like championship high on them. They're going to be really good. They're going to be really hard to beat 4 times, but I just can't see a chip in the first season together with them.
Okay. So when you look at the West and you look at the landscape, the West is definitely tougher than the East, and we're going to move to the East. Mm-hmm. But the West is tougher. So, I mean, I think you have to say that we already talked about this, that the Bucks are probably the favorites. I mean, I think right now they are the Vegas favorites to win it all, but they for sure, barring injuries, would have to be, or some leap that like Tatum or someone takes that we're like not expecting next season. You have to consider them the favorites to come out the East. So in terms of the West, though, it's just a gauntlet. It's going to be much more challenging, right? Mm-hmm. So top teams in the West.
Top how many? 2?
Give me 4.
4. The same. Warriors, Nuggets, Lakers, Suns.
What about the Kings?
Playoff team, but no, play in maybe.
You think they're going to turn into a play-in team?
Yeah, it's a lot of good teams in the West.
So you thought they overachieved last year?
I don't think they overachieved. I think the field was weak last year.
I mean, you have to expect De'Aaron's going to take somewhat of a leap. But I mean, who are the play-in team? You don't think they'll at least be top 6?
How many
are we believing in the Mavs, Luka and Kyrie?
Well, you look at the teams that were in the play-in last year, the Lakers, I don't think they're going to be in the play-in again. So that's one team that's out of the play-in that dropped somebody down. There's always the possibility that Zion can be more healthy than he was. They were like, what, the first seed? They were first seed for a long time before he got hurt. That's another really good team. Minnesota was in the play-in. They
What's
can
his
end up
name?
not
Is
being in the play-in.
Alvarez back? He's gonna be back, or is he still hurt?
Jose Alvarez, I'm not sure. It means Zion moves the needle for that team. So if he's healthy, they're one of the top teams. Like I said, so it's only 2 spots. Like I think, barring injury, the Nuggets, Lakers, Warriors, and the Suns are locks for not being in the play-in. I don't know if they'll be 5th or 6th, but they're not going to be in the play-in. And then you have the Kings, the Grizzlies, who are somehow going to win 50-plus games again, because they always win 50 for some reason.
They are.
Even with Child. Kings, Grizzlies, Pelicans, Mavs, Thunder, Timberwolves. That's 6 teams that's competing for those last 2 spots. I just don't know.
Yo, the West is crazy.
The West is insane. I just don't know that the Kings are for sure not going to be.
You just named 6 additional so that's 10. So those 10. Are your 10 right there. Those are your 10 teams.
Yeah.
Are the Utah Jazz going to even be in the mix this year?
No. Jazz not in the mix. Portland's not in the mix. Spurs are not in the mix. The Rockets are not in the mix. I'm missing one team. What team am I missing? I only named 14 teams.
Let's see.
And
that's crazy.
No, I named every team. Oh, I didn't even say the Clippers.
Oh, shit. 11. Yeah, no, he just said, did you? Our producer's like, did you say Clippers?
11 teams.
There's 11 teams and only 10 spots.
Only 10 spots. Only 10 spots.
That's crazy.
Like, there's a universe where the league kind of catches up to Sacramento and they are not even in the play-in. I'm not going to lie. Because
that's crazy.
Like, if Harrison Barnes is like fully washed and there's no Keegan leap, like he's just marginally better, Sabonis kind of got figured out in the playoffs, there's a path where they don't even make the play-in. I don't know, but it's going to be tough. The West
that is 11 teams that
have legitimate playoff talent on their team.
Damn, yo. Damn. See why you gotta list things out? That's crazy. I gotta sit with that for a little bit. Not like right now in the show, but I gotta sit with that. That's wild. The West is crazy.
It's crazy. They need to send Memphis to the East. I don't know why Memphis is even in the West. They're not even geographically in the West. Send them to the West, to the East. Send New Orleans to the East. Come on. And then bring 2 expansion teams to the West, Seattle and Vegas. 32 teams in the league.
That's crazy.
There you go.
Speaking of expansion, though, we're not going to get into it, but a WNBA team is coming to the Bay, most likely. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that combo for another day. But wow, I'm still just stunned by what you said because you listed all the teams and we didn't even say the Clippers, bro. That's wild.
It's nasty in the West. All
NBA is going to be crazy and All-Star is going to be crazy too.
Yeah. I was just thinking about it the other day. You list out all the guards in the West. Steph is a lock. Luka, lock. Ja.
Nah. Ja's going to miss like so many games in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, but the vote, he still might get voted.
You're talking about for all NBA or for All-Star?
For All-Star.
No, he's gonna miss too many games.
Yeah, he's gonna miss the All-Star. You're right.
And so he's not gonna be all NBA eligible because the new 65 game rule. So he's out.
You're right. So he's out. But Steph, Luka, Book, Fox, Kyrie, Shea, Jamal Murray. I'm sure it's some more people I'm forgetting. It's so many guards. Beal is another one. Anthony Edwards
is that damn even though he's not a guard, JJJ better never be no damn All-Star again because that was bullshit. They need to go positionless for All-Star too.
Definitely.
They need to go positionless for All-Star.
Not completely, but they should go positionless. At least for the bench. Like, okay, starters, two guards, 3 front court players. and then do like 2 guards, 2 front court players, and then like how many left? How many positions are that left?
That would only leave you 3
3?
because they do the 2 wild cards, and that's how the additional guards usually get in.
Yeah.
That's why I cannot believe they gave JJJ one of those last year.
Yeah, it should be like 3 or 4 wild cards, I think.
Yeah, or you're right. They just need to make the team more spots,
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, okay. Let's move over to the East. So, the Bucks lost Grayson Allen, and a lot of people, I mean, obviously you still make the trade, right? But their defense, Dame is not a great defender. They lost Drew Holiday and they lost Grayson Allen. So what will that mean for their defense? I mean, they're still going to be very good and they still have solid defenders, but I think their defense is going to dip a little. No?
Yeah, I think so. Their offense is going to go up. Their defense is going to dip. It puts a lot more pressure on Brooke and Giannis to be able to potentially switch a little bit more, and we'll see how Adrian Griffin coaches their defense. Like Bud had them playing drop coverage, and obviously Brooke Lopez is an excellent drop coverage big. Same thing with Giannis. But yeah, they lost some athleticism on the perimeter. Pretty much their best perimeter defender left is, it's hard to say, Giannis. Like probably Marjon Beauchamp, who's a second-year player. Pat Connaughton is solid, but he's not a stopper. Damian Lillard is pretty bad on defense. Yep. We'll see what Middleton has left. His injury history is kind of getting up there, so we'll see what he has left in like as far as athleticism goes. But he's not a stopper either. So it's gonna be weird for them. I mean, I think regular season they're going to be dominant defensively, but in the playoffs it can get a little weird for them depending on matchup.
So we expect, barring injury or anything crazy, that the Bucks will probably be the representatives for the East. But
I'm like 55, 45.
Okay, so I mean, who else would you have? Celtics?
Yeah, I'll give Celtics that 45%.
Okay. Look, I'm not mad at it. I love the C's, but
I think they got a good chance. I can see that series going 7, 6
for
or
sure.
7. Yeah,
for sure. I think so. But when fully healthy, I always go with the team that has the best player.
Yeah, that's fair. And they have 2 of the best 3 players in that series, so that's the only reason why I'm giving them that 55. But I think after your top, I don't know, after the top 4 players in the series, the Celtics got a lot of that middle group. You know what I mean? Before you get to the next best buck after Middleton, I think it's a lot of Celtics that's over Brooke Lopez in a playoff series to me. But yeah.
All right. So when we talk about the gauntlet, though, that is the West, right? Let's say that one of the top 3 teams makes it out. Denver, Warriors, Lakers. I'm not saying it in an order, guys, but let's say it's one of those 3. Who has the best chance to beat Milwaukee, assuming they make it out the East?
I would say the Lakers don't have a chance.
I like that.
I would say the Lakers don't have a chance. I would say, I'll say the Nuggets and the Warriors probably have equal chance. We just got to see how the Bucks look and how the Nuggets look, because the Nuggets don't have any depth. The Bucks the Bucks have a little bit more depth than the Nuggets, but they don't really got a lot of depth either. But the Nuggets really don't have depth. Outside of they starting 5, their next best player is like Christian Brown, who's like a second-year player, and he wasn't great. Like he was good for a rookie, but it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of look next year. But I think the Warriors are in a unique position to match up with the Bucks because they have the defenders. And this is why I'm high on the Warriors going into the season. They have a team that's kind of built to guard multiple different types of star players. Giannis is obviously Giannis, but I think they can gap him a little bit, make him shoot jumpers. And, you can obviously just put Draymond on any star big and feel pretty comfortable that he's just not going to get absolutely destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And they got Wiggins and GP2 for Dame. They got Wiggins and Middleton and Kuminga for Wiggins and Clay and Kuminga for Middleton. So I feel comfortable about matching up with them defensively. And then on offense, any team that runs drop, the Warriors have a good chance against, because Steph is going to shoot you off the court. So you're going to have to go Giannis at the 5. And from then, you're taking one of your best players off the court and replacing them with somebody who's not as good. So I like the Warriors' chances. When it comes to the Nuggets, they have Jokic. Jokic is extremely hard to stop. They have Murray. Murray is hard to stop. And again, you run drop coverage against the Nuggets, their offense is going to kill you. So, yeah. Lakers, on the other hand, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, we will see. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. I'm excited because when it just, no matter what, I think the Warriors are probably one of the last teams where it's just like they brought someone to the team, it worked out, fit right away, and they went and did what needed to happen. Like, it's just so rare. Like, these big blockbuster trades happen, and then the team goes on to win. I mean, not just even when it's like you trade multiple players, but even just, I mean, just, I don't know. So we have to see. That's why I say we got to see what happens. But ideally, it always changes for me, because I remember there was a time where I really wanted the Warriors to see the Nets, but then they couldn't even get their asses together to make the finals properly. So then they didn't matter, and it's like, I love the Celtics, obviously, but it's like been there, done that. So, So I really, just because Dame talks a little bit too much for my liking. And, people love to say, Jokic got the respect after he won best player in the league. Giannis got it. I'm seeing rankings still where Steph is not even 3. He's not even 4. He's not even 5. Like, insanity. And I don't see how, like, the only player that I will be like, okay, if you put Jokic ahead of Steph, I'm not gonna like complain about it. That's it.
Yeah. That's it for me too.
So, and I still feel like Steph is getting major disrespect. So
people keep putting, they've been doing this for years. They used to do it with Harden too. Luka every year going into the season is better than Steph.
Every season.
It's like, okay, eventually it's going to happen, but can y'all let it happen first?
Just really need Steph to not get injured this season and play at least 65 games, because he won't get an all NBA. But you have to imagine that's on their radar. So they're going to make sure, unless he's just injured, that he plays the 65.
For sure.
Because his legacy matters.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but I feel like if that happens, that will also keep him in the running for MVP as well.
Yeah. So this league right now, going into the season, multiple teams healthy. Hopefully it stays that way. It's probably not, because it never does. But this shaping up to be like one of the more fun seasons like in a while, because all these teams are loading up. A lot of franchises feel good about their chances going into the season. So it can be real fun. And if the Warriors end up winning a ton of games in the regular season and coming out on top in this league, in this West, when we just named 11 teams that can make the playoffs, then, he got to be in conversation for MVP.
Gotta be. And if the Warriors Denver ends up being the Western Conference Finals and Steph beats Jokic and then goes to the finals and beats Giannis.
Beats Giannis and Dame. That would be crazy. Crazy.
Son!
People going to block me. So Warriors fans too. Warriors fans too.
Oh my God.
Because everybody keep talking about, everybody got all this help. Steph just got Clay. Like, can we stop? Can we just let Clay play real quick? Can we? Like,
Warriors are very
damn.
let's move to the Warriors because we do have a little off-season stuff to talk about with them. But one thing we'll say, we keep seeing constant reports and they are focused. They're focused this season.
Love to see it. Love to hear
From
it.
this off-season. So
I knew they was gonna do that. As soon as they lost to the Lakers, they was on that. So I'm not surprised. But they usually respond this way. Whenever they lose, they come back like, all right, different energy. So
facts.
I'm excited.
Facts. So with that being said, so we when we talked last time, we talked about pros and cons of Dwight Howard because there were a lot of reports surrounding him and that he was potentially going to be a player the Warriors were adding. And both of us were okay with that. Some questions around a culture fit, but overall we were okay with it. The Warriors did not add Dwight Howard to the team. After having him work out with them and apparently getting the Steph sign off and the sign off of the other vets. And so I thought that was interesting. I just thought a lot of reporting around that was interesting because it almost seemed like a done deal. And I remember like questioning what changed because there was a time that like the players were pretty like against bringing in a Dwight Howard. Like it was the year we got Boogie Cousins and their preference was actually to have Boogie over Dwight, which in hindsight is crazy, right? They're both kind of head cases a little bit, but
yeah.
That was the consensus. Boogie didn't work out for us, but they felt pretty strongly like way back the Warriors wanted Dwight, but like they haven't in like a long time. And so I was surprised that they were comfortable adding him. Well, apparently they're not. And so they didn't sign him. At least the front office isn't. So he wasn't signed. We didn't really get like an explanation for it. But then news dropped today that Rudy Gay signed a non-guaranteed, unguaranteed contract. He's going to compete for a roster spot in camp. But like I want to say the day before, there was like a report like the Warriors are looking, it might have been yesterday, it could have been today. I don't even remember. The news blurs together for me, but that they're looking for a veteran presence and someone who's not gonna like be a disruption in the locker room. I don't know, Justin. I feel like that's shade towards Dwight.
Definitely. Didn't he tweet some cryptic message with the word warrior in it a bunch of times after that?
Was it after that? I thought those just had already existed.
I think he tweeted that like shortly after, like they didn't sign him or something like that. I don't know. I got to check the date, but he's just a weird guy. We already said that when we were talking about it. He's just an interesting dude. Sure. There's a good chance that just something weird happens when he's around. So I think they were just like, we'd rather not even deal with this. And he's not good enough to warrant, taking that risk. So, oh, well. And then Mike kind of like alluded to the fact that they have multiple bodies that they feel that they can play at center, which they do. Obviously Draymond's always an option at center. He's going to play center in most of their best lineups.
Yeah, but not real centers.
Depends on what you define as a real center.
I mean, like you cannot play Dre at 5 like most of the season. Right. You play him in spurts. So, I mean, I just feel like you need a traditional big. And I don't think that Dario counts as that either.
Yeah.
Or Loon.
Well, Loon can't play any other position. So he got to be.
Right. But I mean, I would like someone who doesn't pump fake. Loon is great. So, but.
For sure. Having a lob big would be amazing. I think Trace can be that. So it's a lot. I wouldn't say it's a lot riding on Trace, but it's like they're gambling on Trace being able to contribute this year. And they took him in the draft. They traded for him in the draft because he's an older rookie and he projects as somebody who should be able to play right away. We are always jealous of all these other teams that can get their rookies to play right away. They're taking a shot on one. I mean, he's athletic. He has big hands. He can catch. He can pass. So he should be able to at least give them spot minutes. He's just not like 7 foot. He's like 6'9" instead. Most teams in the NBA only have like one legitimate 7-footer that's going to punish you in the paint and grab every rebound. So it's not really that big of a deal to me. It's more so if one of Dre or Looney isn't playing, then you look real thin. But they always have the option to just sign somebody at some point.
So Rudy Gay's name has always been attached to the Warriors for years, and nothing has ever panned out. At this late stage of his career, could he get that 14th roster spot?
He could. I don't think he will. I think he might be a little over the hill. Not a little, but I think he might be over the hill officially. But that's why you bring him to camp, have him compete against guys who are also going for that spot. Like JTA, he's going to be super hungry, playing super hard. Magruder's trying to stay in the league.
Look, I just want someone we can actually put on the freaking court. Okay, so like again,
put JTA on the court. respect Juan, please.
I respect him, but I don't want him on the.
This is crazy.
No.
But like Juan is one of those dudes. I'll just make my point for Juan. Juan's one of those dudes that isn't good on any other team in the NBA but the Warriors because he fits their style. So I would be cool with Juan at the 14th spot. But I don't know if they're going to use anybody that's in camp. They might just be bringing guys in camp just to see what they got, keep them in the back pocket. If somebody else becomes available, like a Gallo or something like that, like that's already on another team that gets waived or auto, they probably be like, let me grab those dudes. But just in case those dudes aren't available, let's just see what we got in camp, and then we'll pick from this group right here. So I think that's what they're doing.
Well, to be determined then. We'll see. We'll see. Yes, I would like to. We know they're not signing a 15th guy, so I just would like to see who that final 14th piece is, and we can be on the way. I am really curious though to see how Trace is gonna do.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be good. To be honest, like I said, for all the reasons I said before, he has good defensive instincts. I think obviously he can improve because he's a young player, but he has the hands, the arm length, the bounce to be a good defender out the gate. And then on offense, he makes high-level reads. He can catch. I know we have PTSD with Wiseman's hands. His hands are like the opposite, right? And then he can make those passes that all the Warriors bigs can make in a short roll. So he can be good out the gate. And if he's good out the gate, then it kind of like Mike was saying, they want to have a runway where all of their bigs can play center at some points just so they can see what they have. And if they just sign another big, then one of those guys aren't getting minutes. And it's just going to be like, you don't even know what you have. So I get it from that standpoint. We just got to wait and see. Hopefully Usman Garuba is decent. They can get something out of him. If not, keep him on the two-way and just let him, then sign somebody else. But yeah.
The drama of it all. The drama of it all. Well, Justin, this has been fun. The Dame news finally dropped. I don't know that people are on their seats for this as much, but I think the only other big trade that could happen is James Harden.
Mm-hmm. Where is he going? Is he going to Miami?
I don't know, but I guess Miami now becomes an option if Dame isn't going there, right?
It has to. They might get him in shape.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see Harden under a coach like Spo for sure.
Yeah, I think he can get the best out of him, but you never know with a guy like Harden. His personality is so, I don't know, but he's never played for a coach like Spo that demands the respect. Like he played for D'Antoni and stuff like that, but
what about too? The other team obviously that was like out there for him is the Clippers, and Ty Lue has a reputation of being a player's coach. Do you think he would respect the Ty Lue enough as well?
Nah.
Nope.
I think he might, but Ty Lue was such a player's coach. Like Ty Lue he was in the league at one point. Like he just seems like one of the boys. Like Ty Lue would probably talk to him a certain way, and Harden would talk to him crazy right back. Whereas with Spo, it's just like a different level of, it's like a different gap there. There is no like I was once a player gap. It's just like I am a coach. You are a player. You know, I don't even think Spo would talk to him a certain way that Ty Lue would talk to him, if that makes sense.
Okay. Well, whatever. I'm not here to speculate on the beard right now. If that happens, we'll come back and talk about that. I do think we'd have to reconsider, though, what we think of the Clippers if he goes there. Wouldn't change much for me if he goes to the Heat.
Yeah. Harden don't move the needle anymore.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, like I said, this has been a fun one. Justin, thank you for joining me.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, it's my honor and privilege. Look how we
Greg,
talk to
thank
each
you
other.
for joining us.
That's our bomb producer. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in with us, though, for real. We appreciate you. You know, this is Golden Spaces, an Odyssey original podcast. Make sure you're following us on Twitter and Instagram. Oh, on X, Lord have mercy. X and Instagram at Golden Spaces Pod. Okay, make sure you rate the show 5 stars. Give us a review. Make sure you're subscribed to 95.7 The Game. Our episodes, each one can be found under their channel. And spread the word. Tell a friend. Share. We appreciate you. NBA's almost back. That means more episodes of Golden Spaces. Let's get it, y'all. Until next time, take care.